Welcome to one more episode of What's Going On. Jeanette Cranshaw, our co-anchor, and myself, Dolores Vidal, have a wonderful show that I think you're going to enjoy. What we've discovered is that Belmont turns out to be an amazing resource for interesting people doing interesting things. And today we would like to welcome Bernice Sim, who is a Belmont resident, mother of 3, and she is an actress and a playwright. Now, how people can find that many hours in a day to perform all these things is beyond my comprehension. But she will tell you more about how she does it, what she does, where she does it. And I find it of particular interest that she performs for industry, and she'll tell you some about that. She performs for schools, and she has a message, in particular a play that she has recently written, which she will be glad to tell you about, regarding human trafficking. And I think, bleak a subject as it may be, it's important to know about and see in what ways we can get engaged and help intervene in that rather awful exercise. So, Bernice, welcome.
Thank you, Dolores. Thank you, Jeanette, for having me.
Would you like to first tell us a little bit about your background, how you were in Canada and you came here, and
sure, absolutely.
Get into this whole thing.
Well, I was born in Toronto, born and raised in Toronto. I lived most of my life there, and then I moved here with my husband in 2000. He got a job here, so we moved. And initially, because I couldn't work, because I was on his visa, I thought, well, what do I love to do? And I love to do theater. So I thought, I'll pursue that. So I went and I found the Actors Workshop in Boston, which was then on Tremont Street. And I took classes there. I studied the Meisner technique, and I studied for about a year and a half. I went through their program. And then afterwards I thought, well, I'll audition. So I scheduled an audition for myself the day after I finished that program. Oh. And I thought, well, I'll just keep auditioning until things don't work out. And well, I'm still here, so I guess things have worked out.
Were there any, what are some of the types of things you did, or which ones did you get the most out of doing? What did you like doing in particular?
Oh.
Sort of, I know when we were talking earlier, I think a lot of it is sort of social work you're doing, informing the public about issues in society.
Yes, some of my recent work is definitely that. But when you say what's my favorite, it's almost like asking, what's your favorite child? You know, they're all my favorite for different reasons.
Sure.
Well, I can't say they're all, but most of them I've had many, many good experiences. But recently, I would love to talk about the play that I wrote, which is called Srai Nyang, which is the name of a girl. It's called Srai Nyang, the story of a Cambodian girl. And it's based on the true life story of a girl who was sold by her family into slavery at age 7. And it tracks her life, it's a short play, it tracks her life from age 7 to 10 to 13 and 15. So different stages, you get a snapshot of different stages of her life and how things progress in some ways from bad to worse, and how she ends up at the end being sold into a brothel.
Oh, my goodness.
So that's the play. I wrote that in 2009, and for a large, actually, fundraising arts event to raise money for an organization called Love 146 that was established to abolish sex trafficking for children. And
was this to have been in Cambodia or here in the United States, or where does it take place?
The play, or
the play?
The play is set in Cambodia. So she speaks as if, you know, you see her life in Cambodia. However, of course, I'm presenting it in English because...
Right. You'd like the audience to understand.
I would, and for myself to speak the Khmer language, that's just not... That would be another.
And
that would be another.
You
obstacle.
had the lead, and at one point it was done at Regis.
Yes. So after I did that play, my friend, playwright and director, Wendy Lement, who is a professor of theater at Regis College, she came to see the play. She really liked it, and she said, we need to bring this to Regis College. So she spoke with some people there and collaborated with the social studies professors, and they invited me to come with my team, with the crew, with the cast, to launch their human trafficking unit for all the first-year students. So over 250 students saw the play that year, and we've continued it ever since. So every year they ask me back to present the play and launch their human trafficking unit by presenting the story of Srai Nyang through the play. We do that as well as do a few other things. We have a talk-back session, and we show a few short films. And so by doing that, we engage the students and start off their next unit.
That's a lot of this is
College.
a teaching. This is to teach people about different situations.
Well, it is to teach, but it is also to. I feel that through theater, I invite them into the experience on a very different level, because when you learn in school, you're reading a book, it can become very academic, you can be somewhat emotionally distant from it, you can think it's a terrible thing, but until you step into the role or you see someone presenting it as a little girl who's 7 and she talks about what is her name, she can't remember her name again, or, you know, or she wonders, why did my parents sell me? Why did my parents allow me to do this? And she's thinking as a little girl, then you get really invited into the experience emotionally, and you get to connect with it in a very powerful way that can have a different impact than when you're just reading it, or when you're just hearing about it from a lecture. You know, so I really want to give people more of a palpable experience through theater. So it's not just to teach, but to really engage. And hopefully not just to engage, but through engaging to activate, you know.
That makes a lot of sense. And I think it's a wonderful way to do it. There is another work of art, as far as I'm concerned, that you have that has to do with internment in the Japanese internment camps during World War II. Yes.
I've been fortunate enough, this is also through my friend Wendy. She actually was the first person who hired me, and when I auditioned for a play on Cape Cod called Harwich Junior Theater, and we did her play, Carrie Tar Cat Detective. It was an original work that she made, and because I did that play with her, I didn't realize at the time, but she had been running another theater company called Theater Espresso that was performing historical interactive dramas to high schools and middle schools all over the Boston area. And because we worked together in Carrie Tar in Cape Cod, she thought that I might be a good fit for her theater company. And back in, it must have been 2001, maybe 2002, that's when she hired me to be part of the company. And at the time, I was part of 2 plays, one that was about the Salem witch trials, which we're no longer running, but the other one, which we still are running, called Justice at War, which is about the Japanese internment during World War II. And I play Mitsui Endo, who was a real person, and the setting is the Supreme Court, and we cast the students as the justices of the Supreme Court. And it's on them to make a decision whether they feel that, based on our play and the evidence that we present to them in our play, they decide whether they think that the internment camps are constitutional and should stay open, or if they are unconstitutional and should be closed.
Fascinating. as you can see, Belmont has a wealth of people who are quietly doing their thing and making us think and get involved. And you and your friend Pashka, whom we interviewed a few weeks ago, you may recall that she is involved in the making of quilts.
For a similar purpose?
For a similar related purpose, and it turns out that you're friends, and
yes.
So, you know, it's a good opportunity to make sure we understand that these people are in our community and there are ways in which we perhaps can get involved. Can you think of ways in which people who are watching this program might be able to help promote what you do?
Absolutely. It's not really even about what I do so much as the larger issues. So if you're interested in change in the world, in social justice, in activism, then you can definitely do it through things that I do. I would certainly love to bring Srainyang is a play that I've been able to bring to many places. So in fact, in April, we recently had a performance of Srainyang because a theater company picked it up and decided they wanted to produce it. Before that, we had another theater company produce it the year before. And I've also brought it to Radcliffe, actually, to Harvard University. They ran a symposium called Destination Freedom, and they featured Srainyang, the play, as one of their pieces. And so it's great. For me, anytime that we can get the word out there, including this kind of forum where I'm just talking about it, it's great because it gives voice to girls who have been silenced. Mm-hmm. It gives voice to an issue that may be hidden for most people. And awareness is the first step of activism. It's the first step before anything can be done. And so anytime that I have a chance to give voice to this issue, it really invites other people to join the fight against slavery, modern day slavery. And so I think it's wonderful. The school plays that I do, well, I have to say, we go everywhere but Belmont, almost everywhere but Belmont. So I'm really sad that we haven't found our way into the Belmont school systems.
Now, have you promoted it in the Belmont school system, and is there a reason that you
I'm not certain how things work, but I think that money has to be raised. Because we are hired as a group of actors, and so money has to be raised in some way. So whether it's through the PTA or whether it's through funding.
Or Belmont Against Racism.
Certainly.
Could be.
I'm not certain. So it really has to be the organizers who find out about. I mean, I'm not sure. Yeah, that's just a different side of the story that I'm not on. I'm an actor.
Right.
But so they would have to kind of get together with the people who actually do it. But our stuff is out there on the internet. You've seen a trailer of some of the work that I've done, and it gives a little snippet of a little taste test of what you can have. It really is a great way to teach history. It's a great way for children to be engaged in history in a very real way. I mean, we put them in the situation that when do they, in the classroom, become the justices of the Supreme Court? Or when I was doing the Salem witch trials, they were the congregants. They were the congregation, and they had to decide whether Ann Putnam should be forgiven or not forgiven because of her involvement in accusing girls to be witches. So they really get to take an active role, and I see students come alive. I'm always so inspired by the students myself, and this is what keeps me going, because I can do this play. I've been doing it for 7 years. I can do it over and over again because for the students it's always new, and their hands go up at the end of the play. There are so many hands up, and they want to talk about it. They want to ask questions. They want to say, why did you do this? Why weren't you put in an internment camp? Or how does it feel to be in an internment camp? And I get to represent this girl, Mitsui Endo, who was, and it's such a privilege. It's such a privilege to be part of it, and it's such a privilege to see how it engages people, especially students, because students they're full of life.
Well, you're going to have to come to the Council on Aging as well.
I was just going to say that that would be fine too, but I wonder if there's any kind of topics that relate to specific interests seniors might have that a play might relate to, or that they could relate to. Now, they could relate to that internment camp. Because,
Absolutely.
You know, because we were children, at least, you know, when that was happening. We didn't know. There was nothing in the school books about it. It was a big secret.
Right.
No one knew what was happening except the poor people that were involved. I didn't know until I lived in Hawaii. Can you believe that? I went all through college and stuff, and never a word about it. So that in itself ties in with the idea of communicating what some of the problems are through drama, because it's amazing how many things people don't know about things that would be good to get changed.
Correct.
So so are there any things that you've done that you think would be fun to have a group come and put on at the senior center? We're looking for new things to put on, like Friday afternoons and so forth.
Well, I would love to bring the Srainyang piece to you, even though I wouldn't call it entertainment.
No.
But
thought-provoking.
It is thought-provoking, and I think that I'm really excited to be here with you guys because I have primarily worked with students. I haven't, but there's a wealth of opportunity to work with seniors because seniors are interested. Seniors are interested in expanding their world. I mean, you being here is evidence of that. But you're also in a unique position in life where you might have more time than someone who's a student.
Exactly.
And the means to
We've
be involved. And
most of us.
you have established networks already. And you care about the world and you want to make a difference. And I don't think that you can do that at any stage of your life, but each stage has its own unique, abilities. And so I think that any of the work that I do could be relevant to seniors, and it doesn't have to have anything to do with being a senior, to be relevant to seniors. It just has to be something either entertaining or something that's meaningful. And it's never too late to continue doing meaningful work. I think that you've all been already involved in meaningful work, and it's never too late to learn about something new, to care about something new, and to be actively involved. I mean, it can make life so much more worth living. It can invigorate you. It can enrich you, and you can be a means for change. I mean, what better thing than to do that, really?
There's some ideas that I have for productions that you might want to engage in. Just putting together the different things that you've done, and that you also work for industries to role play and improve customer service and so on.
Right.
I think of some interest to all of us, including those of us who are aging a little bit. Aging is not relevant to you right now, but it is to us.
No, it's always relevant.
But experiences that people have in the healthcare delivery system, the need to be informed, the fear of being informed, the ability to understand what's being explained, the information that's being given, what you do with it, the difficulties of just negotiating the system.
Sure.
I think might be an interesting topic. That's just an idea.
Absolutely. I mean, in fact, the other company that I work for called Dramatic Results, we do work with their customer service department of the Brigham and Women's Hospital, and we role play the plays that I'm involved in. There are two scenes that I'm involved in, and one of them is about the insensitivity of sometimes the receptionist at a doctor's office. And the play that I'm in, it touches on some race issues. So when I first walk into the scene, the receptionist talks really slowly because she's assuming that I can't speak English because I'm Asian. So such things like that. But it's not just about that. It talks more about. It continues on to talk about how my character is very uncomfortable with. All of a sudden, she's come into the doctor's office and she's realized she's made an appointment with a doctor named Dr. Lynn Thompson, and Dr. Lynn Thompson is a man instead of a woman who she thought. And so there's that whole issue of just not being comfortable. And yet the receptionist is not able to pick this up. And so we play that scene, and then we get asked questions from the participants. in the customer service class, we get asked questions of how we feel and what's going on, clarification questions and such not, and then we replay the scene in another way where we sort of have corrected the situation.
That's excellent.
So I mean, this is exactly what you're talking about. So certain issues that maybe seniors are dealing with, and to have that put up there on stage and to be able to interact and say, well, how did you feel? Or to be able to resonate and say, hey, this is exactly what's going on. This is exactly what I deal with. It can be a very powerful experience and can be the start to changing a system or to changing an approach, or not necessarily changing
or a
system.
Response even.
Exactly, a response, like how you can deal with certain things a little bit better. It gives you some tools. And that's exactly what I'm doing with the other company, Dramatic Results. So it gives you tools to work with on how you might be able to approach something differently so that you can be more empowered as a person, or how, you know, on the other side, how a healthcare worker can become more sensitive and offer better customer service.
And then another issue is cost of housing for seniors. Your income has stopped, you're on Social Security. Hundreds of Belmont residents find they have to leave town at this point because the idea of affordable housing usually means not affordable unless you are very well to do, you know, comparatively to what somebody might be. So that's another whole issue of the disruption of feeling you have to leave town. And so there's a lot of things where being very productive and being in the prime of life, I mean, there was a lot of flack. It's taken till 2 years ago to have a real town-owned senior center. And I guess we were the last in Massachusetts to do that. Yeah. A lot of talk about, you know, well, everything should be for the students, you know. Why? We don't need something like that, you know. Or not as complete as we finally got it going. I mean, it was something was much simpler. So I think the issues of feeling, a lot of them stem around having your feelings hurt and not knowing what to do with it because you feel unwanted. That would be another theme for a play, you know, just running into things. When you mentioned about the doctor's office, it made me think of, just in general, sometimes they talk too fast. Sometimes they don't produce anything written that is legible, you know, to know what it was you went over. All sorts of little dramas.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff
that could be done at the senior center or for the town or something.
Well, I would encourage people, then, any viewers or yourselves, to think about where your strengths are and your talents are, and think about how you can use those as a vehicle to communicate things like that. So whether it's through writing or through theater or both, or through art, some sort of visual art, to do it, to think about what matters to you or what issues are relevant, and to just go, to move forward. I mean, that's how I started. I mean, really, it was because the material is all there, you know. But it took me for the piece that I wrote, Swainyoung. It wasn't until actually you mentioned Poshka. She was the one who and she's also involved in Love 146 and the abolition of sex slavery. And so she had said, why don't you present something? Why don't you put on a play? And so I looked for all sorts of material. It wasn't there. So I thought, well, I guess I have to write it then. And she pointed me to David Batsone's book, Not for Sale, which, and I read part of it. And so my inspiration comes directly from that book. You know, he was the one who did the research, and he profiled different girls and boys who had been enslaved and how they were enslaved. And her story, Swainyoung's story, really stuck out to me. So I used the material from his book based on the true life story of this girl. And that's where the play came from. And so you never know. I mean, if the material is already there, and it just takes you, sometimes all it does is actually just sitting there and writing. You don't even have to be inspired. You just have to write. You just have to sit there and do it, you know, and something will come out. It'll surprise you.
Well, you know what, Bernice, I think you're incredibly inspiring, and we thank you so much for being here today. Look forward to perhaps seeing you at the Senior Center before long, and I hope our viewers will keep their eyes and ears open, and look forward to seeing you again.
Thank you so much. Dolores, do you mind if I read a very short quotation that has inspired me?
We've got
do.
This
5
is from
more minutes.
David Batstone's book. And I just love it. There are 2 quotations, actually, and they're very short since I have a few minutes. Okay. There are times to read history, and there are times to make history. We live right now at one of those epic moments in the fight for human freedom. We no longer have to wonder how we might respond to our moment of truth. It is we who are on stage, and we can change the winds of history with our actions. Future generations will look back and judge our choices and be inspired or disappointed. I just love this quotation. It's at a preface of David Batstone's book, Not for Sale. He's an abolitionist. And then I also love this other quotation by Elie Wiesel.
Oh.
I swore never to be silent whenever and wherever human beings endure suffering and humiliation. We must always take sides. Neutrality helps the oppressor, never the victim. Silence encourages the tormentor, never the tormented. And so I really want to leave you and the viewers with these quotations that have inspired me to action and keep me going. And just this whole image of being a history maker. I inspire each one of you because everyone has the potential, everyone has gifts and talents, different ones. And we need different ones to fight against the injustices of the world, to become a history maker and to step into the picture and not simply to be an observer. You'll find that your life is so much more enriched, not just your life, but that you'll have an impact on the world and other lives will be changed because you step into the picture.
Oh. Pretty inspiring, huh?
I guess so.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Until next time, with What's Going On.